Good evening. We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. At this time, we're going to ask our clerk to read the roll.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal. Amobian.
Present.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present except for Mosley.
Okay. For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Bishop Johnson from the House of the Lord. Immediately following our prayer, will Councilwoman Baylor lead us in the pledge?
Good evening. Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, I pray that any observers would add accountability and decorum to these proceedings. Pray especially for this important group of public servants. Protect them from spiritual, political, and physical danger and obstacles that would keep them from discharging their calling and duty, which is to protect and serve the needs of the city of Akron by governing the concerns of this municipality. Impress upon them the meaning of the terms public servants. Help them to be servants first. Help them to serve people through productivity for the greater good of all involved. Help them discern, repent of, and manage the self-interest that is in all of us. Help them act with compassion toward their fellow council persons when they discern self-interest in them, remembering that we are all human. Help them understand the nature of the word public. Help them understand that they carry out their service openly, above board, with the utmost of integrity. Reveal to them that the word public represents the people as a whole, that is, from high to low, from the landed to the disinherited, from the rich to the poor, from the privileged to the underprivileged, from those who shout loudly to those who have no voice, from special interest groups to those who have no special interest or organization. Give them the serenity to accept the things that they cannot change, the courage to change the things that can be changed, and the wisdom to know the difference. Give them resources to deal with stress, trauma, and anxiety that come along with the job. Give them stamina to meet the demands of their schedule and the wisdom to know how to arrange those schedules. Give them common sense to know when they should take a break or when to go on vacation. Give them faith to see the invisible, believe the incredible, and achieve the impossible. And finally, I pray that you would bless them, make your face to shine upon them, and give them a peace that is beyond all understanding. These things I pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. I pray them in the name of Jesus of the Christian faith, in the name of Abraham of the father of the Jewish faith, in the name of Allah of the Islamic faith, and these things I pray in the name of the higher power of all faith, and even those who don't believe in or are sure there's a God. These things we ask. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a second. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Abstain.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
The motion to approve the minutes passes 11-0 with one abstention.
We have no items on the consent agenda, so we'll move right into old business, planning and economic development. Councilman Fusco.
Time on the agenda.
Time will be granted. Public service, Councilman Kamer.
Continue time, please.
time will be granted. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda. That concludes our old business. We'll now move into new legislation. Our clerk will read in item number 1.
Item number 1, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Cadenza Innovation for the purchase of networking switches for the Water Reclamation Facility process control system and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, after hearing the presentation today, the committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This has to do with networking switches at our water reclamation, and with that,
Okay. Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman.
aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 2, offered by Fusco, ordinance approving the addition of property located in Copley Township, Summit County, parcel number 1500478 to the Copley Akron Joint Economic Development District, authorizing the mayor or his designee to amend the Copley Akron JED agreement to include Summit County parcel number 1500478 and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain property from Akron Public Schools, authorizing the transfer of certain city-owned property to Akron Public Schools, United Way of Summit and Medina County, and Akron Metropolitan Housing Authority, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Refer. And also request the council carefully read over all the attachments. The legislation we'll be discussing next week. Forward any concerns or questions to Sean Bowman, and if they could CC me, I'd appreciate it in the committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This item will be referred.
Item number 4, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into contract or contracts without the formality of advertising for bids with Xylem View for the design and/or implementation of improvements to the city's existing CSO real-time decision support system and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. The committee's report is to place this item on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 5, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee, after publicly advertising bids, to enter into a contract or contracts to eliminate lead, galvanized, and unknown material in the water distribution system throughout the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, if my memory serves me, I believe we asked for consent on this item.
Yes, this item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 6, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to participate in the Water Resource Restoration Sponsor Program and to enter into a sponsorship agreement for the sponsorship and implementation of the Cuyahoga River Gorge Dam Removal Project, authorizing the Director of Finance to accept and expend funding under the terms and conditions of the sponsorship agreement and in furtherance of the project and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, this is just another piece of legislation that has to do with the project where the city will be removing the Gorge Dam, and the one a host of many pieces we'll see in the future. With that, we ask for passage.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo,
Aye.
McKittrick,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Neal,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 12-0. Item number 7, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Law to enter into a contract with the Summit County Public Defender Commission to provide legal services for indigent defendants in Akron Municipal Court in accordance with the requirements of the Constitution of the United States with respect to the provision of legal representation to indigent defendants and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Cameron.
Thank you. The committee's report is to place this item on consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts with the Humane Society of Summit County for the rescue of severely injured, abused, or neglected animals seized in the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda. That concludes our new legislation for this evening. We're now going to move to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. Going to ask all those who are wishing to participate, if you please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by our clerk.
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Just going to ask when our clerk calls your name, just approach the podium. You won't have 3 minutes to speak to this body.
Apostolette.
Greetings, everyone, on this Day of Atonement. According to the Gregorian calendar, it's the 7th month and the 10th day, which is the Day of Atonement, where Jesus Christ took care of everything for our sins. And I greet each of you on this day. I'm blessed to be able to celebrate it with you. I am the former chaplain of the East Cleveland chapter of the League of Women Voters. I am a lifetime member of Black on Black Crime Incorporated and the former clergy chairperson for that organization. I've been recognized by the state of Ohio as a pastor for over 20 years. One of my ministries, churches, is No Fear But God Fellowship Assembly Church Ministries, which I am founder and visionary because females do have dreams and visions too, whether some believe it or not. I'm the 9th cousin removed to General George Washington, the first president of the United States of America, who was actually the first president to free the slaves. His wife did not agree to do so, so his house was very divided. Through my dad, and I'm also related to Charles Coatsworth Pinckney, who signed the Constitution, the original Constitution, and which is going to be challenged on tomorrow with early voting beginning. I have a resume that's very, very extensive. However, that's only to just let you know that I am concerned about many things. Fact. People must be appropriate when they come here. Threatening people is not appropriate. The media and press are racially biased when they come here. The mayor's race is not ended. But I understand that the person who won the primaries is giving people jobs already. I know other candidates were also in the race, and the race has not ended yet. There was only a primary election, not the permanent election, and that needs to be known and reflected. The fireworks display, there was a challenge with a member of the community as to why it took place in the ballpark. Estimated $1.92 billion is being spent currently in the United States of America for sexually trafficking females. Also, the Vice President of the United States of America, 2 weeks before the 2020 election, gave pedophiles rights to our children, stating that they don't have to register as sex offenders. The governor of Colorado signed the Kill More Babies bill, which is a violation of our rights as parents, and we who decide to be parents, as well as we who are Christians and we who are heterosexual. That needs to be addressed. The education system in Ohio and the United States is racially biased, and the governor refused to release East Cleveland and Youngstown schools from government control, but gave Lorraine School freedom and released them from government control when all of them had the same contract and that must be addressed. They have more prisons in Youngstown than they do anywhere in the state of Ohio, 4 prisons. Thank you very much, and I have a copy of my information, and I did my own census, and I did give you, bring a copy for you all.
Thank you, Apostle Ed.
Reverend John Beatty.
Madam President and members of the council, I'm Reverend John Beatty, 2047 Wyndham Road, Akron 44313. Last Wednesday, I was leaving City Hall after observing the Citizens Police Oversight Board. I noticed an African-American man across High Street yelling at City Hall. He looked to me as if he might be dangerous, and his van was parked directly behind my car. I was trying to think how I could get in my car without getting too close to him, when my better angels told me to befriend this strange man and find out what was troubling him. I thought my collar would protect me. I stretched out my hand and asked if I could sit down beside him. He said, okay. I asked if he'd like to share what was bothering him. And then 6 white Akron policemen appeared and formed a semicircle in front of us. I was a little nervous. Then I remembered what 2 Akron policemen had done to Mr. Ely on Copley Road over the weekend. I said to myself, whatever they do to this man, they will have to do to me. I was pretty certain that my white collar and my white skin would protect me, but I wasn't so sure about my new black friend. All the officers were not menacing us, both hands on their Kevlar vests, standing at attention in a relaxed manner. One officer asked politely, what seems to be the matter? The man let loose with a profane complaint about the mayor and how he wouldn't listen to him, and about Portage Path's support that placed him at a bug-infested motel in Green. He said he has been living in his van and slept at a rest stop last night on 77 after he got permission. The officer asked politely if he could check to see if he had any weapons. My new friend gave him permission. The officer found a pocket knife in his pocket, and I think he gave it to one of the other officers. My friend shared his frustration that he couldn't contact his caseworker, despite multiple attempts. He shared with the officer that he could feel that the officer was feeling less tense. I asked how I could help the man. Do you need some gas? Are you hungry? He said he'd just eaten. I asked how about me taking you to Sheet's filling station, top off your tank, and maybe we could talk some more over a cup of coffee. He agreed that would be okay. The policeman nodded in agreement, and my new friend and I started to head for our vehicles. The policeman said, wait a minute, here's your knife back. Crisis over. To me, these 6 white officers did a classic de-escalation maneuver. I wonder if I had not sat down with this mentally ill man and stayed when the police appeared.
Reverend Beatty, I'm so sorry, but your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carla Matthews.
Hello, I'm a resident and a business owner here in the city of Akron. I have sent over 30 emails to various city council members, also city representatives, trying to find out where the money is being spent for the Akron home repair. I've been told that the report would be posted. After several additional email and inquiries, and also sending in for public records, I want to be clear, the information that was sent to me via email does not match what's done with the public records. When I ask for where is the money being spent, I'm hoping to get a monthly breakdown of who is getting the money. It does not help me to say we gave this much to DBEs or we gave this much to siding contractors. Where's the money going? What contractors are receiving this money? What contractors are receiving these opportunities? Because if you do not give us a clear view, you are violating that right for transparency where this money is being spent. I'm not exactly sure of who I need to talk to within the city of Akron, but I hope somebody can tell me where do I go for this information. And there are several people on this council that I have actually sent that same email to, yet not one person has reached back out to me via email. I don't know if you don't want to go on record as saying we don't know where the money is being spent or we are not being transparent. When I pulled that report from the city of Akron's records, the numbers are just not there. It's just a whole bunch of who came to these outreach events, who came to these different events, how many calls were made. That does not tell me where that $5 million of ARPA money is being spent. So I said, let's back up. Who is the project manager? The city of Akron told me that it is G. Stevens. Then who is helping write those contracts? G. Stevens. Who is signing for those payouts? G. Stevens. Who is writing the narrative? G. Stevens. Where is the city of Akron's oversight over where this money is being spent? If you need some help on how to break that down, contact me. I'll tell you how to look at it and find out, because if you are not being transparent to the residents, then you are definitely you're not being service to us. You're just not. There's $5 million. You have one contractor that is over the whole entire thing. Who is overseeing him? Who are we asking these questions to? Because if he's the project manager, he's writing the contracts, he's deciding what contractors actually get the contract, who is being paid, when they're being paid, and then he's also writing the narrative. And I look at the narrative, there are no details in that narrative. That narrative is telling me, oh, well, we spend so much money on siding, we spend so much money on painting, we spend so much money on DBEs. Who are the DBEs? Give me a name. How much money did they make? It's just not clear. Let's be transparent here in the city of Akron, and let's stop hiding behind these reports that give no detail. When I did reports, it was required of me to give details.
Thank you so much for sharing. I do know that I do see Chief of Staff Bert Williams. Is it possible that you can make sure that her questions get answered? We appreciate that. Thank you.
Reverend Joyce Penfield.
Good evening, Council Chairman and Council members. I'm Joyce Penfield. I've been part of the charter amendment process and attend the oversight meetings for representing the NAACP, and I'm bringing words from the NAACP Criminal Justice Committee meeting we had last week. We have been working in the city to build trust, to improve police-community relations. The charter amendment had that as its goal, to improve police-community relations. And in doing that, there was a task given to the council and mayor and police department. I want to read that section to you before I comment on what Pastor Beatty had referenced. The Division of Police shall engage in practices that foster strong community relations with the people of the City of Akron. The mayor shall prescribe rules and regulations to be implemented by the Chief of the Division of Police to improve community relations by providing ongoing officer training that promotes police de-escalation techniques, race and implicit bias training, non-lethal force options, community policing skills, mediation, conflict management, mental health crisis intervention techniques. And then it goes on to say the Division of Police, along with the City of Akron, shall be reevaluated, the community relations efforts shall be reevaluated by the mayor, council, and chief of the Division of Police in consultation with the Police Oversight Board, Citizens Police Oversight Board. The Citizen Police Oversight Board is just now trying to put things together, working very, very hard at it to create a structure. They're working hard, but the complaint process is a mess. I'm sorry, but it is, in terms of actually what happens. When we get down to the training part, it's pretty obvious to me and many of us, if you see the police cam from the treatment of Mr. Eli, the police cam, their own body cams, of two policemen who arrive and within seconds are punching, holding on a chokehold, punching a person in the face with hardly any initial direction, and immediately, almost attacking. I don't believe the police are called to be judge, jury, and punisher. And I don't believe that police standards by professional police that we have agree with that either. The Department of Justice doesn't either. When they did their report on Ferguson in Missouri, they came up with sensible police use of force approaches and implementation. I know our department has a very detailed list of what use of force is supposed to be. I don't think it's followed, quite frankly. And that's what we need more training for. So I'm here to urge you and the council and to remind you that that is the council's, that is prior to the council and mayor's job in consultation with the oversight board. We need more training. It is impending. We can't have trust without professional standards and training. And for the sake of the police who do act professionally, like Pastor Beatty just mentioned, such a beautiful example.
Your time
We need
is up. I'm
those.
so sorry.
Pastor Harrison?
I have some handouts. My name is Pastor Harrison, Antioch Church, Akron. One that come and say, 15 years ago, a 89-year-old widow was getting evicted from her house. Deputies came to her house to evict her, and she went upstairs and she shot herself. She was getting evicted from her house because she took out a second mortgage on her house to fix her house up. And that second mortgage was a variable rate loan. It went from $300 a month to $900, and her home was foreclosed. That didn't happen anywhere in Chicago or LA. That happened here in Akron. Bring that up to say that there are some people who are hurting and they need this home repair program. They need this home repair program because their houses are falling apart and they are in a desperate situation. Over $2 million have been released to a contractor, and we've only completed 43 homes. 43 homes, and there's 70 homes in progress, but what does that mean in progress? It is the responsibility to find out where this money is going. I asked my congregation how many people in my congregation had applied for home repair. There were 5 different letters within my small congregation. Some said the money was gone. Some got a letter and said that the money was gone, that they were sorry that they couldn't get to them. Some got a letter said they were in Group A. Some got a letter said they were in Group B. Some got a letter and said that they were in the pool and that someone would contact them, but no one got a letter that says that we will be out tomorrow. We don't even know who the 43 are. I started getting calls from people who heard that Pastor Harrison was going to help them with the home repair. I'm not trying to help them, but we are going to have a meeting at the church, and I would hope that council would come and hear some of the concerns of the people. You have some handouts, and there was a documentary done on Addie Polk. She was the 90-year-old woman. She did not die when she shot herself, but she went to a nursing facility and she died 9 months later. There was a documentary done on her situation and how that affected people across the country. You have a handout of the story, and at the end of your handout, there's a website. That documentary is now free, and I would ask, it's a 5-part documentary. I would ask that you would look at it, and that will give you some indication of how desperate people are and what is going on in this city. And I hope we can find some common ground. But that home repair program, it is unbelievable that $2 million have been transferred to a contractor and only 43 homes have been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Harrison, for sharing.
Harrington Hargrove?
Good evening, Council. Harrington Hargrove, 1008 Laurel Avenue, Akron, 44307, Ward 3. And my concern is about this Great Street money. And this Great Street Akron is an initiative aimed at improving the neighborhood business districts in our communities. Yet my community in Ward 3 continues to be redlined and discriminated against from these dollars. There's a $6 million in Shabani Hill Initiative program. We were told that this money would be spent in Lane Worcester area that would like the city to, I would like to talk to the city officials in reference to receiving fundings of these dollars to create 10 to 15 jobs in my community and 6 businesses. Yet my project doesn't get the attention of this city. There's no one has come to this city to put 15 jobs in Thornton Street. And I've asked this council, please ride by my community in the next week or so and look at it. Just look at the condition on Thornton Street from Rhodes Avenue to East Avenue. We have gotten nothing substantial. They've given a few business $20,000, $30,000, but they want to boast, look at what we've done down there in that community. Our community is blighted. This council does nothing to elevate our communities down there. Just ride by there, please. And in reference to receiving funding of these dollars to create 10 to 15 good paying jobs in my community at 371 and 373 West Thornton Street, which is on the corner of Thornton and Nathan. And then I have another building on the corner of Thornton and Rhodes Avenue, 409 and 411, that we're going to tear down, and we're going to build a brand new building there to create 3 businesses on that corner. So I'm going to have 3 businesses on Thornton and Raymond and 3 to 4 businesses on Thornton and Nathan. 15 jobs. But this council says no. You won't even look at my project. And I use the word racism because it's true. It's in Webster. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove.
That concludes our public comment period.
Okay, thank you so much. We're now going to move into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Freeman.
2 p.m., please.
Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
3 p.m.
Parks and Rec, Councilman Lombardo.
1:45.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Busco.
1.
Public Service, Councilman Kamer.
2 p.m.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Freeman.
2:45.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Busco.
Subject to call.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Thank you. Is there anything else coming before council this time? I do believe I see Councilman Neal's hand.
Thank you, Madam President. We were supposed to get an update on the permit process from the park. You had asked Ms. Williams to get that to us this week. Do we have an update?
Councilman Neal, I'm sorry, is your microphone on? I think they're having a hard time.
Okay.
I believe council received an email from service director on that particular topic.
Yeah, but we have these meetings that are public. I've made the request public, and citizens get cut off. When we communicate, it's almost like a sunshine rule violation. When something's brought up on the floor and a question is asked, and then we don't address it publicly. So if we can, And honestly, when the email went out, I haven't had a chance to read that email yet.
Sir, neither have I. So if you want to read it aloud, I don't even have a copy with me.
Well, okay, don't count this as my 3 minutes. This is one of the problems that we have at council, because we were told that we would get an update this meeting. I understand if you haven't read it, that's okay. If we could get it next week, for those who follow our meetings, then that way they'll have all the information that council has, and we won't be in any violation of, you know, kind of like, we don't think of it as a sunshine rule violation, but when we comment about stuff on the floor and then we only communicate through email, it shuts out the public engagement in the process. So I understand if you don't have it, if we can have that up, and I will read it. So but since we were told that we get an update, appreciate it if we can get it next
And I
week.
believe that has been provided to you.
Okay, but again, you understand what I mean. The public is participating in these meetings. They've heard that request for the update, but now we shut them out of the process. It would have been different if I would have sent the email, but I asked it during a meeting. One is so they could become a part of our public record in our minutes. But again, if it's not answered today, I understand you haven't read it, I haven't read it, we'll take care of it next week.
Mr. Neal, I have nothing further to provide on that one.
I understand.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Now I'd like to start with that was one question. Ms. Matthews raised questions, said she hadn't gotten answers. You're not alone. This council has asked questions regarding Section 56 of the budget. We started discussing the budget back in February, March. We still haven't received answers to those questions. Just on Section 56, there were other budgetary questions that we had asked for answers on. Again, we were asked to send them via email, and we would get answers. Now, maybe I missed the email. I did check with one of my colleagues, and she stated that she hadn't received anything. Maybe others receive answers to all the emails. I see Mr. Malik says that he received his, but I didn't. Again, our budget process, when those were asked during the public forum, one of the responsibilities of the budgetary process is for citizens to be able to participate. When we ask for emails to be sent, and then we don't answer these questions out in public, it shuts them out. And Ms. Matthews, it's part of the process down here. So if I can get those answers, I think Mr. Malik is going to comment on how he's got his, but I know one of my other colleagues didn't get theirs. Ask questions in regards to Copley Road soccer fields. Did get a list of emails today, and even in there, it still doesn't answer all the questions. As a matter of fact, it even complicates it more because it states that they were contracted to maintain the parks in the field, to maintain the fields, but not to rent it. So maybe, I'm not a lawyer, but those questions were asked over 10 months ago. Mr. Lombardo said that we were going to get answers. Again, I would like for us to have that discussion so that we can address it. This has been going on for a long time. And then last but not least, I have some other ones, but I would like to ask us to consider this. AI is coming, and it's going to be challenging to all legislative branches on the federal, state, and local level. A lot of good questions were asked here today, and I don't know if they'll make it into our minutes. I'd just like to suggest this. Since this body is going to have to, in the very near future, deal with AI. Some police departments are now using it they just turn it on, it takes dictation, they just copy and paste it in. I would like for us to experiment here, just dictating what takes place, so that these questions like Ms. Matthews asked, we have them verbatim, and we can see if each question is asked. The questions that Dr. Penfield asked or Reverend Beatty asked from time to time, we have the exact question the way they asked it, and we can look at it. AI it's not coming, it's here. It's just a matter if we want to catch up. I mean, I remember we struggled with putting stuff on the cloud. When we talked about the cloud, everybody said, oh no, we don't want to put our information in the cloud. Our information is there now. So I'm just asking this council body, our clerk, let's consider looking at using AI here, so that when we're challenged, when the police department comes with a new tool or another body within the government, government body, we already have some idea how AI works and how to legislate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Councilman Malik?
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, because it was mentioned, as far as the budget process, we did have a lot of discussion around Section 56. And I know there was a lot of effort put into pulling all of the contracts. I voted against the budget. I was not comfortable with the answers I got to the questions that I asked. But all of those questions that I asked were answered via email and were made a part of the record of our budget discussions on OnBase. They're sitting there as part of the record of those discussions, right? I'm just addressing the point that you made with respect. And so I think, when we have issues that we bring, we have to find a proper forum to raise them. I really appreciate Madam President, Ms. Matthews reaching out. I've seen some of the back and forth between Mr. Tatum and Ms. Matthews, and I did not realize, I think, the degree to which, she felt her questions had not been answered. So I think, as you mentioned, we're going to try to get some clear answers on exactly who are the contractors and what amount. As far as Copley Road, I agree with Mr. Neal. I think it would be helpful to have a discussion specifically in Parks and Rec Committee about Copley Road so that we can have some discussion. I've been on this council 3.5 years. I've read through some of the emails about it. I don't have a full understanding, and I think a discussion in the committee would be helpful and would be appropriate. So I think for each of these questions, there's a different way of kind of getting answers and making sure, but we all have a responsibility when it comes to that. And also, I don't want to diminish the fact that there's a lot of effort that goes into it, right? I think the finance department went through and pulled every single contract that was authorized as a special service for the last, I think it was 3 years at least, and put them online. And some of that was in relatively short notice. So I definitely understand that there are times when questions are not answered to people's satisfaction, sometimes not to my satisfaction. But I think together we all have a responsibility to work together and find some of those solutions. But I do want to be accurate about those budget questions.
Thank you, Councilman Malik. Sir, do you see anyone else that have any other comments? I don't see anyone else on my end.
Madam President, Councilwoman Amobian has her hand raised.
Okay, Councilwoman Mobian.
Thank you very much. Several things I'd just like to react to. I know during the presentation recently, I asked questions about the house repair program, the home repair program, and what concerns me is that as the oversight body, the body that's going to be charged with overseeing these dollars and held responsible for how they were spent, when we ask questions, I'm asking for clarification and for information. And my question was the very same as yours, Mrs. Matthews. We have only completed 43 homes, and I said that on the floor. And the offer was made to do a presentation for me. I don't think the presentation needs to be for me. The presentation needs to be for all of us to understand why only 43, and what are we doing, how much have we spent, and who has the money gone to. And I think what you're asking, ma'am, is exactly what we've been asking. And there should be no secret, and no one is blaming anybody. We're just trying to get a good understanding of what is going on that we are so slow in repairing these homes. When you have over 2,000 people who have applied for these repairs, and we can't give a good explanation as to why they have not been done, or they're being done so slowly. Because I said, maybe it's something that council could do in terms of providing more resources. Maybe we can look to tweak something, or make some recommendations to the mayor or somebody, so we can get these homes moved. And I have not gotten anything back other than the offer on the floor that day to have a presentation specifically for me, and I want that presentation to be for all citizens. With regard to the soccer fields on Copley Road, we have been talking about those fields for years now. I don't understand who this person is, why this individual can't be invited to a meeting with us to explain that relationship with the city, and why we only have that individual who has control, or his organization, of those fields. And we get so many different responses that I still don't understand the arrangement, because it doesn't sound like it's a legal contract based on what I recall of the information that we got from the legal department, that is some kind of arrangement. And if it's just an arrangement, we should be able to get information from the individual or the committee or the organization that's overseeing the field to tell us how they are doing it, what they are doing, because there are so many questions surrounding it. That's two. The third thing is that I have attended a number of the oversight committees meetings in the community down here in this building, and I know they're working extremely hard. And I think you're right, Reverend Penfield, that we are ultimately responsible for giving that committee some direction, and we will. I have not heard from them directly in terms of a council person receiving, and I would assume they'll be bringing something to us soon, Madam President. But there are some things we need to do, and I know we need to pay attention to what's going on, and that is something that I know they are struggling with. And they're struggling with this whole idea of who's responsible for the investigation. I know that, because I've attended several meetings where that has come up. So we need to find out where they are in terms of bringing something to the council, because I think by now, maybe it's something we could start approving or making some suggestions around. And lastly, before my committee several weeks ago, maybe a month by now, and we'll be going on break in about 3 weeks, are we going to have a recommendation for the medical debt relief program? I know we do a lot of single source bidding down here, or offering, or whatever you want to call it, when you only have one person or one group. And I'm not understanding where we are with that program, because I thought it was pretty urgent after we found $500,000. You know, that was another issue, you know, how you find $500,000, but we did. So is somebody going to tell us, are we going to try to have that done before our spring break? And those are my questions, please, if someone could give me some direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Mobley, and just so that you know, and this body knows, the Oversight Board will be bringing forth their rules and procedures to Akron City Council for approval, so that will be coming before us here real soon. Is there anything else coming before this body at this time?
Madam President, Gert Wilms would like to speak.
Sure.
Thank you. With regards to the home repair update, council leadership has already asked for an update to committee. I believe that is scheduled July 24th. I'm not sure which committee, but July 24th, home repair will be here to provide an update. I will get an answer on the debt, the medical debt relief for you, Councilwoman Amobian.
And thank you very much, Chief of Staff. Can I ask you one question, please? Could we get information prior to the meeting for the home repair so we can read it and delve into it before the meeting? So if we have questions, maybe those questions could be answered. We can get back to Mr. Tatum. I'm assuming it's Mr. Tatum.
I will let him know your request.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Wilms. Is there anything else coming before council at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
If not, is there? Okay, we have a motion on the floor for adjournment. If there are no objections, meeting is adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast at Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.